And then we find out simultaneously as this is all happening that the CIA, kudos to Director Radcliffe, had actually released something called the Joanides file. And George Joanides was actually, he's basically our version of James Bond, but more corrupt. And he was basically observing Oswald. He had lied to Congress. This was all in his file. He was then the CIA liaison to Congress during the investigations, stonewalled their investigations, was later awarded something from the CIA. So we have the CIA admitting that they lied to Congress. We had people that had been subject to the Warren Commission's investigation saying that the Warren Commission engaged in witness intimidation. The CIA admits that Lee Harvey Oswald was not a lone gunman. People ask, well, does this mean that you'll ever get the name of who killed him? No, because I don't think the CIA was like, kill JFK on this day and use this gun and have this person assigned.
Right.
But there was evidence of multiple shooters for sure.
Well, there had to be multiple shooters. There's injuries. Like one of them was to the front of his neck.
We had testimony to that.
Yeah.
And actually, what's interesting is when we first launched the task force, we had left-leaning news outlets that were trying to write hit pieces saying that I was basically launching a conspiracy theory task force. And they had to print the truth weeks ago. You can actually pull
what is it about people that don't want to believe that some conspiracies are real? Is it a comfort thing? Is it you think you're going to erode trust in the government? Is it you just have such a rigid worldview and in your mind that there's always been Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, that's what happened, and because of that, anything that challenges your belief system you fight against?
Well, specifically to JFK for decades, the intelligence agencies were influencing what the print and press was doing.
100%. Until Geraldo Rivera. When Dick Gregory brought that film on the Geraldo Rivera show and you got to see the Zapruder film and you got to see what looks like a shot that makes his head go back and to the left.
Yeah, and
which would indicate he got shot from the front. I think he got shot multiple times by multiple shooters from multiple different directions, and I don't think necessarily Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't in on it.
The Warren Commission did omit multiple female witnesses who were actually at the book depository that day that actually stated that they had never witnessed Oswald actually in the location or going down the back of the book depository. So that's an interesting fact.
Yeah, it's possible that he could have snuck past them. There was a lot of chaos. You hear gunshots, the president shot. People don't always think straight when things are going nutty. People have a terrible memory right after traumatic events.
Yeah.
Like, yes and no. Like, he might have been there or he might not have been there. He might have shot at Kennedy, but for sure, he was some sort of government operative. For sure, he was traveling back and forth from Russia. He married a Russian citizen. There was a lot of weird shit.
He was under surveillance by the CIA, so there's a lot there. However, I will say this. What the official narrative was, we now know is BS, right?
Yeah. Well, that I thought from the beginning.
Yeah, but a lot of the American people did, but to have their own government say, no, that's not true, to gaslight them and to push this narrative of if you question it, you're wrong, you're crazy. That in itself, I think when you're talking about like why do the American people not trust their government, it's really this fracture that starts around the Kennedy era and time frame. And you can see then that distrust kind of evolves. But going back to your original question, why do people refuse to kind of question conspiracy theory? Maybe there's some substance to it. And I think it's because it's more comfortable for people from a psychological perspective to live in this comfort area that their government might not do something like that.
Right.
Or might not try to cover up something like that because that's just an easy way of life. But look.
It's too scary.
It's too scary. But the fact is that, look, I've traveled a lot. I've dealt with a lot of world leaders. We are still the greatest country in the world. Make no excuse about that. But it doesn't mean that we can't call out and hold our own government and officials accountable.
Like if you want trust from the American people, you release information. If you want us to distrust you, you hide everything. And you're hiding everything on one of the most important events in human history.
They were up until recently. And we're still documents that the JFK community, because mind you, I'm actually working with, his name's Jefferson Morley. He is not a Republican. He's a Bernie Sanders Democrat. But on this issue, we're working great together. And he's actually been helping me. And he's like, look, I've been waiting for this stuff for like 30 years.
Yeah, this is a hugely bipartisan issue.
It's super bipartisan.
This is something we can all get together. That and UFOs. It's the one thing Democrats and Republicans both completely agree on. Like, tell us what's up. Tell us what's up. Who killed them and are they real? Those are two giant questions that we all have.
What we're trying to do is push these agencies and be, if you will, the pit bull and the attack dog on trying to get this information released.